Thank you very much, guys. Coming into that game, Team SoloMid was 0-15. Never to have taken a game off any Korean team, and they took down Samsung White. Let's call out the obvious, problems with Samsung White's composition. No wave clear, extreme scaling, but nobody can take anything away from Team SoloMid's early game and aggressive play. They legitimately won that and abused Samsung White's weak team composition.
Oh, absolutely. Now, the level 1 was a godsend for TSM. It was the sort of semi-miracle. We were thinking this is something that TSM needs to win the game, and it happened. 2-0, great start. But the rest of the game was TSM playing very cleanly and objective focused with their lead. There were a couple of dives I think they could have gone for that they didn't do, but they were on time for Dragons, on time for Barons, closed it out well. And then Samsung White as well. If you showed me that game without names, I wouldn't have believed that was Samsung White. The over-aggression, the Dragon fight at like 7 minutes, mind-boggling that they went for that kind of stuff.
Yeah, not only that, but just they kept having knowledge of what was coming and walking into it anyway. But yeah, I agree. TSM played that out much more aggressively than I've really seen them play before. They pushed their advantage very, very well. Now, to talk about the early game just a little bit right there and go back to it, I mean, sure, they picked this big scaling composition, but if we actually look at how they wanted it to go, which is get the Morgana into the Thresh lane, have the 2-on-2 and the 1-on-1, and Mundo does quite well against Ryze in a 1-on-1 matchup. Now, because of what happened at level 1, they were unable to do that, and that forced them in turn to lane swap. And then that's where the lack of wave clear really, really hurt them hard. But they saw the invade coming. They went into it anyway. It was an incredibly disrespectful play from Samsung White.
Now let's get to the first replay. Pull that one up onto your screens. Double lift. We'll get to you after this one. Crepo, talk me through this Dragon fight and play that TSM did well despite losing the Dragon.
Yeah, just before we roll the clip, I just want to talk into the position that like Samsung got themselves in by agreeing to fight that level 1 fight. They were already behind. They felt like they were going to lose the control of the game, and yet they felt cocky enough to fight this Dragon. The only way they could go right is if they steal the Dragon and still get away, but they sacrificed 3 members for this. So it's like a lose-lose situation. If you roll the clip out here, we see why Dandy is often referred to by Monte Cristo and the likes as the Prince of Thieves, because he jumps in, times a smite with his W. Amazing doesn't want to step into that either because he's so low. He gets dropped, but the cleanup from TSM is there immediately, and this just sets White so far behind early game and gets Turtle rolling. And we really need him to break open that map, get all those towers, because as we said, there is no wave clear at all. He will just get rolling, get those kills, start sieging those turrets, and they let Dyrus just be on his island alone in the back, cleaning the waves as calmly and as passively as he can.
Well, even more baffling, too, is the lack of early Shiv on Imp. I expect Imp to rush Shiv after this happened just for wave clear. Didn't do it.
Double lift. You didn't believe in Bjergsen. You called it a 3-0. They are now 2-1. What's your take on this match?
Bjergsen played really well. He managed to survive that 3-man roam mid early game, which was really surprising. Last second wall, he had a pretty solid game overall. I was actually just going to point out that Wild Turtle and Mustboy have been up in CS against Imp and Mata all 3 games at 10 minutes, which is really significant. I think Imp is honestly not playing very well this whole series, and I'm just really surprised. I don't know. He's noted as the most dominant AD carry in the world, and yet he's losing lane constantly to Wild Turtle and Lustboy.
Freak, I have to give a high five to Lustboy. His Thresh this game was fantastic. I think that's the best Thresh game he has ever played.
Yeah.
Talk to me about the rest of the matchup as we get to the mid and later stages.
Sure, so yeah, the Thresh was very smart. TSM made the adaptation to prioritize Thresh over Janna. They banned it game 2, grabbed it in game 3, very smart choice. That adaptation is good. The rest of the game, I talked about at the very beginning, TSM are playing very smart with the lead, which is why I wanted to see them keep playing Lucian, keep playing Corki. Why I was like, pick Twitch the first 2 games. That's kind of risky. TSM with the lead is kind of scary, and they're doing it. Dragons on time. They're manipulating the waves beforehand. They're not just sitting on Dragon on respawn. They're saying, wait, there's a mid lane wave. Let's clear that, then go Dragon. We've already got wards on it. They can't steal it. Don't worry. TSM are playing the things around the objectives well on top of that. If they can keep making this early game lead, Samsung White aren't showing the ability to play well from behind just yet. So another good first 8 minutes, and TSM actually could win this series.
I'm not sure if I would actually agree with that. But yeah.
I don't agree with that.
But it's nice to see that Amazing is still confident in his ability to make plays, and that leads us to the second replay we have ready. It's basically TSM camping in a brush up top, and Samsung White again having vision, but biting off more than they can shoot. So if we roll the clip immediately, Amazing is leading the charge right here, and he wants to look for a pick. I think they know that Morgana's there, so he will jump over the wall, jukes the binding in that sense, and cuts them off for the Cataclysm. His team follows up. That's really good. They get the Morg. But what happens next is really what I like about the play here. Again, Pawn goes in a little aggressive. He wants to slow them down because he knows everything's on cooldown from TSM. This misses, but Flash. This is such a good adaptation from Amazing. He knows his standard's gonna miss, but he goes for the Flash combo into the Yasuo ulti. And that, I like that from a jungler that has been suffering, that has been suffocated in his jungle by Samsung White. He has the audacity and just the balls to make that play still and land it. And that bodes well for him into the next game.
Yeah, that has to be a big confidence boost for Amazing, who really struggled in games 1 and 2. Also, if I'm going to be honest, I didn't know if TSM had that in them to play that way, even with a big compositional advantage. So my question to Monte Cristo, if Samsung White bounce back, is there a psychological, worry on their side and boost on TSM to give TSM a chance in game number 4? Or do you think this is 3-1?
No, I think Samsung White knew exactly what they were doing in pick and ban. They intentionally chose...
They chose Kassadin blind.
They chose Kassadin blind. I mean,
they're
styling right now. That's what they've been doing. And yes, TSM played well, but Samsung White has been handicapping themselves in the last 2 games. I don't think we're going to see it again. But that goes into the next point, which is Samsung White, we just saw these videos. Oh, we were too cocky at Worlds last year. We're not going to do it. Hey, buddy, I've seen this team time and time again. I've been casting this team for many seasons, and they always revert back to this cocky play, even when they have a big advantage. And sometimes it really bites them in the ass.
Yeah, haven't they gotten silver and bronze like 4 of the last 5 times in OGN? They're really good, and then they never quite win.
Yep.
Except for once against Blaze, right?
Well, and a lot of the time, too, if we look at a lot of their matches against Blue, they have big advantages. Then they just kind of do random stuff. They don't keep themselves buckled down. They don't close properly. That's how they lose.
They almost did that against EDG when Imp just randomly jumped in 1v5 on Tristana. So I really hope they stop playing so arrogantly.
So, Crepo, we've heard a lot about the predictions and the overconfidence of Samsung White. Team SoloMid, a team that is quite emotional, that is quite riding on, individual prowess and power. Is this overconfidence from White going to be enough of a boost? Everyone else has chimed in. I need your final thoughts.
Well, I don't think it will be, but what I think we'll see from TSM is here an early invade, an aggressive early game team comp. But I think White's smart enough to read that this time if TSM has the better early game composition, they'll invade. I think we'll finally see a game where we go 2 for 2 buffs in an equal setting, but then White's experience and just better macro gameplay will just win them the 4th match.
All right, I'm just about to throw to an ad break, but before I do that, I'm going to bounce down the line and just get your predictions for game number 4. Tell me the team name of who you were going to win, starting with Freak.
Samsung White.
Samsung White. Monte Cristo. White, double lift.
CLG. No, White.
And finally...
They can't even win in North America.
White.
Come on.
All going to be White.
So
one game, but the analysts are still not convinced. Guys, when we return, we will see if TSM can build on that momentum against Samsung White in game 4. They do not believe so. Don't go anywhere. The action in Busan continues after this.
Gods can bleed, yo.
Comfort breeds weakness.
Level 1, 5v5, Dandy doesn't go down, illusion passes, Lust Boy picks up first blood, it's ignites down as well, and Samsung White is running for the hills. Here comes Pawn, Dandy tries to jump in, they get Turtle. Pawn very low on this one, but Dandy's gonna fly back into the fight here. Now they're going for Dyrus, cut down by Imp. Going down, Pawn throws himself into the front there, but they close in on it. The lockup, the knockdown, they take out the Pawn.